Welcome into the St. Louis Cardinals Daily Podcast. My name is Andrew Teuscher, and the Cardinals have done it again. They've made a trade with the Boston Red Sox, but this time it is Willson Contreras, former Cardinals catcher slash DH slash first baseman, is heading on down to Boston, and the Cardinals are receiving three prospects in return. I guess two prospects, one guy who had a brief stint in the majors, but three young arms, all right-handed pitchers coming back to the St. Louis Cardinals. Exactly what we've all been hoping for with a lot of our trades. More pitching coming back. I covered in a previous video that this is just what Chaim Bloom does. If you guys didn't listen to it already, go back, listen, and watch what we should expect out of Chaim Bloom, because this is what he did with the Rays. This is what he started doing with the Boston Red Sox, and now he's taking those guys back from the Red Sox and putting them on the Cardinals. The names of the players that the Cardinals acquired are right-handed pitcher Hunter Dobbins, right-handed pitcher Yokier Fajardo. It's way harder. Go look at how it's spelled. We'll figure that name out as time comes. And also right-handed pitcher Blake Aida. These prospects, Dobbins is a guy we'll see up sooner, but Jokier, Fajardo, and Blake Aida are guys we should see later down the road. To cover more of the Willson Contreras side of these things, because as the Cardinals did with Sonny Gray, we also chipped in a little bit of cash to send on down to Boston with this. Willson Contreras is still due to receive a total of $44 million. That is per Katie Wu. And Chris Cotillo, who is a writer for the Boston Red Sox, a beat writer up in there, he's still owed $18 million in 2026, $18.5 million in 2027, and a buyout worth $7.5 million in 2028 that will more than likely get picked up due to Willson Contreras' age. With Willson Contreras, we were also sending over just $8 million. Honestly, not nearly as much as I was expecting to pay. So the Red Sox are on the books for $36 million of Willson Contreras' contract. Essentially, we're paying the buyout. So he's really just going to Boston for 2 years. We paid the buyout. He also got a $1 million raise, a little incentive for waiving his no-trade clause. This is customary with anyone who has a no-trade clause. So the Cardinals basically offload Contreras' money, and they bring in three young arms that can help to bolster their rotation here in the next couple of years, and then a couple of guys who we won't see maybe for a little bit, but can develop into something more. What this means for the big league ball club before those prospects come into play is a lot more playing time for younger players on the big league club, which is exactly what the Cardinals are hoping for. This is more proof we're going to be terrible next year, which is what we keep saying, what we keep expecting. I'm with folks. Maybe we strike lightning in a bottle, and we're way better in 2026 than expected. But let's be honest, 2026, make your New Year's resolution learning to be more patient, because watching the St. Louis Cardinals is going to make you need to learn patience with how bad things are going to get, particularly with our rotation. And now as we trade away more guys out of the lineup, we could see some frustrating stretches, because Willson Contreras was one of the most consistent players in the Cardinals lineup all season last season. Even the year before, he wasn't as consistent, but he certainly was one of our better hitters towards the end of the year. So this is a big-time bat leaving the lineup, but it opens up spots for guys to play. First base is where the Cardinals really want to get Alec Burleson some time playing, and where a bunch of other guys could certainly move on over to if we needed to. I could see Nolan Gorman making a great first baseman if we ever needed to make that transition. We have a lot of shifting to go around at our infield as we're trying to make room for guys like Gorman and J.J. Weatherholt whenever he finally comes up. Thomas to J.C. needs room. So this clears Alec Burleson to go be more of a first baseman DH. Ivan Herrera, we're trying to get to play catcher. Chaim Bloom came out at the winter meetings and said, and Ali has recently doubled down on, Ivan Herrera is going to be a catcher next year, or at least we're trying really hard this offseason. But if Ivan Herrera can't figure out this pitch calling curriculum that's their words, the Cardinals have been using, then maybe that gives him way more time to play at DH, and Burleson can play first. Because let's face it, Burleson, big biscuit. We love seeing you out there moving in the outfield, but it's not necessarily because it's good play, and sometimes it's entertaining for bad reasons. we would love to see him play more first base. We'll just say that. So this clears room for Alec Burleson, who's the second best hitter on the Cardinals by far. Contreras and Burleson, go look at any advanced stats, were significantly leaps above most of the other hitters other than Ivan Herrera, who couldn't stay in the lineup due to his health. So the Cardinals are losing a big bat here, but it opens up room for other guys. And I think that's a good thing for the Cardinals. Get those young guys up there. You don't want to limit their growth, their potential, because that's what 2026 is all about. So, Wilson, we thank you for your service here on the Cardinals. We love you, all that you've meant for the last couple of years, being some sort of stabilizing guy. We appreciate it. I hope you do well in Boston. But let's talk about some of the guys the Cardinals are bringing back in this deal. The first such guy is Hunter Dobbins, coming on over from the Boston Red Sox. He is the headline main piece in this deal, on top of offloading money, which will allow for more flexibility in future years, which is a big deal for the Cardinals. That should not go underrated, the financial flexibility this will allow in the future. Take that $18 million. Next year will be a lot more to us than a declining Wilson Contreras. Anyway, Hunter Dobbins, he's a 26-year-old right-handed pitcher who stands 6'2", 185 pounds. Bigger typical human, but not huge for a pitcher. He was drafted in the 8th round out of Texas Tech and was the 27th ranked prospect for the Boston Red Sox in 2024. And one of the main reasons he fell all the way to the 8th round in that draft was because in 2021, he blew out his elbow. His final season he was about to play, blew out his elbow, wasn't able to complete it. Was really unhealthy for a lot of his college career, only pitched like 45 innings. He even blew out his knee in high school and later on, as we'll talk about in just a second. But in the minors, he played pretty well. He came back, took them out a little bit in 2022, but his time in the minors really starting in 23, he pitched a 3.67 ERA in 19 starts, then moved on up, pitched a 3.08 ERA in 25 starts between double and triple A. And then in 2025, he got called on by the Boston Red Sox to come be in the big league rotation very early on in the season. And he didn't do too bad. He was up and down in April, but then in May and June, he was an everyday, taking the bump every fifth day kind of starter for them. Very consistent, making 11 starts, 2 appearances that were not starts. But despite some success that he had in the big leagues, pitching to a 4.13 ERA during that time, which, that'd be one of the tops in the Cardinals rotation this year, I'll tell you, 4.13 ERA. Definitely a guy the Cardinals could use going forward. But his season ended early in July after he tore his ACL. This is the second torn ACL in his life. He tore his ACL again in high school due to a collision. In July, he tore his ACL as he went to go make a play at first base, jumped up, landed awkwardly on the bag, tore his ACL there. Now, the average return on an injury like that is somewhere between 9 and 12 months. If he's athletic, I hope he is, being a major league pitcher, and being young, that could be closer to 6 to 9 months, so maybe he's pushing to be an opening day guy, but more than likely, we're going to see him make a slower return, I would imagine. But with the way his pitches play, the way he performed for Boston, if he was healthy, he'd be in our rotation day one. I'd guarantee it. He pitched well enough. Great remarks from Alex Cora as he was going down. He mentioned in an article on MLB Trade Rumors that he was really a mainstay, earned his way into the rotation, being a everyday part of what they had going on there. And so what makes me think he would probably be an everyday starter for the Cardinals whenever he is finally healthy. So that's another spot potentially taken up that the Cardinals fans would love to see. We'll break down more in the future what that'll mean for our overall rotation. So expect to see him probably late spring, maybe into the early summer before he makes his debut. Some 2025 stats to give you an idea of what he looks like and why I'm kind of excited for him. Again, he had a 4.13 ERA through 13 appearances, and he's a classic Cardinal pitcher. And you'll know what I mean by the fact that he has a 74th percentile walk rate, 75th percentile barrel rate, which means he's missing barrels, a 78th percentile ground ball percentage, which means he's drawing ground balls. So he's a guy who doesn't walk guys, draws lots of ground balls, and he's a 14th percentile K percentage and a 22 percentile whiff percentage. That doesn't meet the guys like, it doesn't match the style of guys like Liam Doyle and Brandon Clark, who we've recently acquired through Chaim Bloom. This is an inning-eating kind of guy, and you got to have those. And those are guys you can acquire for cheaper who can maybe develop into something more. He only made 13 appearances in the big leagues. Maybe we work more on that. But his stuff is very much league average for MLB standards. His 95-mile-an-hour fastball, his 88-mile-an-hour slider, 78-mile-an-hour curveball, and he has a sweeper and a split too. All of that's like league average movement, league average speeds. But average isn't terrible. The Cardinals' rotation is full of below league average pitchers right now. Those guys are young. A lot of them can develop into more. Liberatore is slightly above average, I would say. We're hoping McGreevy grows into more. Hopefully Richard Fitz can be more. But let's be honest, it's a lot of young guys and below league average stuff. Dustin May is great stuff. Great stuff. Let's see if that stuff can actually stay on the mound. So I think he's very welcome into our rotation, hopefully going on from there. Weirdly enough, just a bit of a note, looking at the Baseball Savant page, you look at his breaking stuff that he didn't throw. He only threw about 30% of the time between a splitter, a sweeper, and a curveball. That stuff played. Very low batting average against. Don't know if guys were just hunting fastball, slider, but dudes were not hitting that hard. Dudes were hardly hitting it at all. So maybe that's something the Cardinals can tap into. We hope so. That fastball does ride pretty well. It goes all the way up to about 97, 98 miles an hour. So a guy we can definitely grow into with the Cardinals. Hopefully we'll see on later. The other guys that the Cardinals brought in, some, let's face it, no names, really low down on the overall prospect rank for the Red Sox, and guys the Cardinals won't see for a little bit. Again, Dobbins being the headliner here. But again, right-handed pitcher Jokier Fajardo is one of the pitchers coming back. He is a 19-year-old projected to debut in 2029. Gives you plenty of time to buy season tickets so you can see Jokier Fajardo. Start saving up your money now. He originally was an international signing out of Venezuela, and I'll just read you what MLB.com says about him because, let's face it, I haven't watched much of him to this point. Fajardo continually has added strength and velocity since turning pro, and he's now works at 93 to 95 miles per hour while touching 96 with his two-seam fastball and 97 with his four-seam. He has a tight slider that ranges from 82 to 85, and Boston was working with him on adding a sweeper version as well. He also has picked up an upper 80s kick changeup very quickly, giving him the potential for at least solid offerings across the board. More advanced than most 18-year-old pitchers. He was 18 at the time, now 19. Fajardo needed just 6 outings before earning a promotion to Single-A in 2025. He has thrown strikes throughout his pro career and commands his fastball well. He is a potential mid-rotation starter and will be given plenty of runway to reach that ceiling in what is now his third system. So a guy with potential, guy we won't see for a while, but I'll let you know, even the MLB.com thinks he could be a contributor in the future with good stuff. The last guy, Blake Aida, is a 24-year-old who was drafted in the 6th round out of Kennesaw State, and the Cardinals will hopefully see him a little bit sooner, probably out of the pin, knowing that he's already 24 and hasn't made his big league debut yet, hasn't really risen much higher. I'll read to you what Baseball America has on him. The Red Sox selected Aida in the 6th round of the 2024 draft out of Kennesaw State and made his pro debut in 2025 with Low A Salem. After 10 appearances spanning 51 innings, Boston promoted him to High A Greenville with Drive. Aida went 3-4 with a 3.78 ERA, 20% strikeout percentage, and an 8.1% walk rate over 64 innings. Aida doesn't miss many bats, but he throws a lot of strikes and held opposing batters to a 2.12 average in 2025. So a guy, again, with potential, hasn't made it quite all that high up. Hopefully we'll see more of him coming up. I didn't mention Fajardo is the 23rd ranked prospect for the Red Sox this year. Aida, according to Baseball America, would have been 27 or 28 had he still been on the Red Sox, as they are just coming out with new numbers in 2026. So both these guys exciting, potentially in the far, far future, especially for Fajardo. Maybe in the nearer future for Aida. Probably more in a bullpen role as he gets on up. But the Cardinals are making moves. We'll keep covering it every single day and what that means for the Birds. Turn into future episodes. We'll talk more about what this means for the Cardinals. Again, I'm Andrew Toysher. Thank you for tuning in to St. Louis Cardinals Daily Podcast to cover your Redbirds every single day.